Good afternoon, good evening, and so forth. Hello, my lovely viewers. How are you doing this day? Well, I am doing moderately okay, although I am slightly alcoholized. Having a bit of red vino. And so, what we're talking about today, we're talking about Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, the starter box set thingy called Leviathan. And so at the time I am making this video, I think Warhammer Fest is on its last day or maybe over. And so they've revealed, you know this, they've revealed, there we go, revealed at Warhammer Fest 2023, the Leviathan box set. And, well, it does look rather beefy box. There is a lot of Tyranids. A lot of Tyranids in that box. And I suppose quite a lot of Space Marines if you're into that. And a big chonky book. So it's coming June, which is fantastic. Not too long to wait. And it is big. They're saying it is an absolutely gigantic box. And it is. And I am going to have a grumble though. I know everyone's very, very frothing at the mouth for this, and it's a big old hype train and all the rest of it, and I'm on board. Honestly, let me tell you this. The last edition of Warhammer 40k I bought into was seventh edition, and I skipped 8 and 9 because I'm just fed up. Sorry, we're rebuying the same game every 3 years. That's just silly. You should make it last longer. If you can't write rules, maybe you should just go to school to learn how to write rules, and then you wouldn't have to redo it every 3 years. But anyway, that's a rant for another day, and I've already done that rant. You can check that out. Maybe I'll put a link somewhere on the box, and you can see my rant about edition fatigue, which is just being tired, of editions happening every 2 minutes or every 3 years, which is too frequently. But back to the point, which is I skipped 8 and 9, and so maybe I could get tempted to jump in on 10. I feel like I kind of won in a way by missing out 8 and 9. I didn't spend any money on 8 and 9, so I could spend some money on 10. And I wouldn't feel like I've been badly robbed. And this Leviathan box overall is quite tempting. And the main reason is the Tyranids, because they do seem to get the bigger part of the box, let's be honest. And most of the coolest looking models. And I'm sure most of these are new as well. They're not just refreshed old type. They're actually completely new Tyranids. Whereas Space Marines, let's be honest, I mean, they might be new, they might not be new, they look the same. The Space Marines look like Space Marines when they're Space Marines. They're just all Space Marines at the end of the day. So, so the Tyranids are fantastic. Just look at that array of Griblies. I suppose if you had Tyranids in the box, you would have to have Space Marines, but we have Space Marines all the time. Like for me, if I was to buy a Leviathan, I would have the Tyranids, but the Space Marines I'd probably have to flip because I just don't want Space Marines. Unless maybe I could paint them as Dark Angels. Dark Angels are just the slightly more interesting kind of dark Space Marines to me. Regular Space Marines, they're all a bit boring to be honest. For me, I just think they are. No, let me rephrase that because I'm sure there's like a million fanboys crying out in horror somewhere in the galaxy that I dared to suggest that Space Marines might be a touch boring. But they are cool. But it's just that everyone plays them. Everyone plays Space Marines. It's everyone playing Space Marines. So, because I'm a contrarian, that means I am constitutionally incapable of playing Space Marines because I have to be different. And that's why up till now I've gone Orc, I've gone Tau, I've gone Eldar, and I've dabbled with Dark Eldar, and I've got some Sororitas, a bit of Adeptus Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle, whatever, and even some Guards. So if I had to do humans, you see, I'm not like anti-human. I would possibly do Imperium factions, but I'd be looking at Inquisitors or Guard or even Sisters or Sororitas, sort of a bit silly, instead of Space Marines, just because everybody plays Space Marines and I want to be different. But Xenos are where it's at for me. And so far it's been Eldar Orcs and the other guys, Tals. But of course, there's another little quibble I have with the 40k universe. I'm such a grumbler, but I love it. I do love it. It is grimdark and all that, but it's a bit like Star Trek in a way. Most of the aliens are just not very alien. Eldar are just humans. They're humans with pointy ears. That's it. They look human. They look human. And the Tau pretty look human. Yeah, they pretty much look like humans. They're all right. They're blue, but apart from that, they're like blue humans. Basically, they're Smurfs or something. Well, not the Smurfs, because obviously that's the Ultramarines. But yeah, they're just little blue humans. So, and the others, what is the others? The Orcs. The Orcs. Now, okay, they're mushroom people, which is pretty alien. That's a pretty cool idea. But when their actual appearance, it's quite humanoid. It's quite humanoid. Maybe a little bit gorilla posture, but they are human looking. So not very alien looking. Who else is the... okay, so you got the Necrons as well. Necrons, some people will hate me for this, but they're boring. All right? They're boring. And they are, in theory, very alien as well, because they're made of metal, and they're like millions, billions of years old and all this. And that's quite alien, but the actual shape is very humanoid still. They look humanoid. They look like human skeletons, but made of metal. So the Tyranids really stand out as the one and only alien faction that actually looks alien. And so that's actually a bit of a feather in the cap of the Tyranids, I would say. The one redeeming Xenos that makes Warhammer 40k a little bit less stupidly anthropocentric. Did I say that correctly? Yeah, sort of like Star Trek. Star Trek, all the aliens look like humans with like plasticine stuck to their head. That's basically it. And Star Wars was better because you've got Jabba the Hutt and you've got, I don't know, Genosians and all sorts of plausibly alien aliens, although still quite humanoid, a lot of them, But the Tyranids, they're that's them's the boys for making proper aliens in the alien universe. So I'm just going to scroll down to the Tyranids because I think they're the stars of this show. Really, we've all seen Space Marines, and we've seen Tyranids too, but the Tyranids have got some proper attention this time. So what's this boy? We've got a winged Tyranid Prime. And so that is a pretty decent guy. Look, he is a pretty good looking model. He's got wings, lots of spiky bits. No, it's good. It's all good. A Neuro Tyrant. So this is fantastic looking. Look at that. It's a really like cool Call of Cthulhu or something going on there. Tentacles and stuff. And so that's pretty cool. And you've got Screamer Killer. That is obviously quite a big model. So in terms of value for money, allegedly, this box is 150 quid. 150 quid. Will you think about that? If you buying any of these separately, I'm pretty sure these big boys would be like 35 quid each. Right? Just on their own. So, I mean, rough price. What are we looking at? 35. These probably 35. I don't know. These are what are these? These maybe 20, 25, 20, 25, maybe 30, 30, 35, 30, 35, 30, maybe something like that. Maybe 25, but probably 30. So he's going to be, I don't know, 35, 30. These boys, probably 25. Could be 30, probably 30. Don't know, 20, 20, 20, 30, 20 or 25. So I didn't even add that up, but obviously if that's 105, 150 for all that, that is donking good value compared to what they usually charge you, like if you bought them all separately. But here's the other grumble. The other grumble I have is the book. And I think this is the main thing that I think a lot of people have not thought about yet from what I've seen. So where is the book? The book is massive chonker, which is fine. You know, you might think that's good, have a big chunky book. But it's not just the cool rules in there. You've got the lore, the rules, artwork, stunning photography of models, and the core of the hobby, background information for Warhammer 40k, information about every faction, and the gorgeous. So there's a lot of, most of that is going to be fluff, you know, and basically marketing material, right? Pictures of nice looking models is it's just marketing material. That's making you want to buy stuff. But it's all in one book. So that's what this one big heavy book, and that's what you're going to have to carry. That's what you're going to have to carry if you go gaming, which is not better than, for example, 7th edition, which I know some people think was the rules were complicated or whatever. But it did have the saving grace is that the core rule set was in 3 books. So you had one book which had the core rules in it, another book which had lore, another one which was the sales stuff, I guess. I don't remember exactly, but there was you could just take that one book that had the core rules in and go gaming with that, and that would be a lot less to carry. For the Leviathan, now I imagine the core rules will get re-released on their own. But then again, if you bought Leviathan, are you going to want to re-buy the core rules when you've already got the core rules? That could have been split up into separate books. And quite often that's what they used to do. That is what they used to do. They did that in 7th edition, for example. So this is slightly peeves me. It peeves me because I'm going to have to carry this bloody thing. I'm sure I love reading it. I might read it cover to cover. I might get that enthused. But when it actually comes to gaming, that great weight of book is not friendly. And so I don't know what these cards are. Does it say here what the cards are for? Because I understand that at some point, all the rules for the models are going to be on data cards or something. So that's might be more things you have to buy. But whether that actually has the cards or it has like mission cards or something else on it, I don't know. It doesn't seem to say here. Mission deck. So, okay. Yeah, so, actually, and so the rule book actually has a sort of campaign. So there's a campaign thing, which is very specific to these models. And you wouldn't want to be carrying that around all the time if you're playing. Oh, I don't know. I'm having a big old grumble now. Should we talk about the space? No, actually, let's not talk about the Space Marines yet, because there's some. I wanted to say some things about. Because yes, this is the thing. The Tyranids have got a lot of new models. I believe that's a new model. That's a new model. Like even that's a new model. These are new models. These are Termagants, which we've already got, but they're refreshed. So that's me. I wouldn't say that's exactly a new model. Neurogaunts. This is new again. So, and these are Barb Gaunts. This is a new thing. I guess that's a biocannon ganglioparasite or something. So maybe that's to replace the biovores that were a bit of an old rubbish model, to be honest. And finally, we got a psychophage, which is, wow, a big old gribbly. Look at that. Oh, I don't know how practical that body plan is, though. Those legs look kind of bizarre. But there you go. That's often the case with Games Workshop. It's all about being looking cool without actually being practical. So this boy, this biomorph, he is a hunger for enemy psychers. So somehow he eats psychers. Yeah. So I don't know. I am tempted. I am tempted, and I probably will buy this box. Might be worth getting on eBay instead, because of course people. I suspect most players, because everyone's giddy for the Space Marines, aren't they? So most people buying the Leviathan box will be like, I want the Space Marines. I'm going to flip the Tyranids, you know. So the Tyranids are going to end up on more Tyranids are going to end up on eBay than the other way around. Like there will obviously be some people like me who will buy the Leviathan for the Tyranids and they will flip the Space Marines. But I suspect the majority, maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but the majority will be like, I want the Space Marines, I'm going to flip the Tyranids. So it might actually be possible to get some of these boys pretty cheap on eBay just because of the whole demand. Um, what do they say? Demand versus supply, right? So if the supply of Tyranids is on eBay is going to get big because of this box, and there's not so much demand, then the auction prices might be quite low actually. So that's tempting. So it might even be worth actually if you were going Tyranid to try and get these halves off of it, have these these flipped halves off of eBay and just get the core rules when it gets re-released on its own instead of having this big old book with a bunch of stuff in it you don't really want. I don't know. I don't know. It's just thought. I probably will get the box, to be honest, because it is quite good value, and I could probably sell the Marines anyway. I probably could. Yeah. So I am not. I wouldn't. I want. I am semi stoked. I'm going to say I'm semi stoked for this box set. I am semi stoked enough to make this video about it. To be fair, so there's that. And let me know in the comments, what do you feel? What are you drooling at the prospect of all this gubbins, or are you a little bit more meh? I can pass. Yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you think. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say. You could also like and subscribe and all that garbage, and maybe in future videos I will I'll do a bit more on this box. Maybe I'll paint some stuff, or I don't know, maybe play a game on it. I don't know what I'll do. But I've got a huge pile of shame. And also I want the old world, and that's going to come out presumably soon, maybe this year or next year. So yeah, should we talk about the Space Marines? I know I'm not the right person to talk about them because I'm not really into them. I've seen Space Marines so many times. They don't look different from the last time I looked at them. They are cool in theory, but they're all blue. Or if they're not blue, there's some other colour and it's all the same colour. I tell you what, this librarian does look cool though. He's even like runes and stuff. So fair play. Yeah, you got an apothecary and lieutenant in Phobos armor. So how many characters is that? That's 4 characters. So yeah, that's not bad. And 5 Stern Guard. Is that Primaris Stern Guard or are these Firstborn? I don't really know because um like okay, so I did a video about how Games Workshop is moving away from heroic scale to true scale, and Primaris are very much true scale, and these boys look true scale, but it's actually hard to say how tall they are, if they are, whether they are meant to be actually firstborn but done in true scale instead of the old heroic scale, or whether they are actually our Primaris. I don't know. I can't tell. Someone probably knows. If you want to put a comment, that'll be handy. And the reason why I'm not 100% sure that these boys are actually firstborn or whether they are Primaris is because, of course, the Terminators. These Terminators are not like the old Terminators. The old Terminators were definitely heroic scale. They had giant heads, giant feet. Well, these do have quite big feet, but the proportions of these Terminators is very much more heroic scale. I mean, true scale. They're very much more true scale than the old Terminators. And of course, only firstborn, I believe I'm correct, according to the law, actually have access to Terminator armor. So these should be firstborn. So that's interesting. So it does seem like if firstborn are going to stick around, they're going to get turned into true scale as well as the Primaris. And again, I don't know whether these are Primaris or whether they are firstborn. I assume they are Primaris. But that's a lot of flamers. Look at that. That's 10 flamers. So obviously that makes sense if you're going up against Tyranids, I guess. But holy crap, that is a lot of flamers. And finally, the only big boy that the Space Marines get is a dreadnought. A very shooty dreadnought from the look of it. So we got las cannons or something, bolters, and I guess a missile launcher of some kind. So, yeah, to look at it, I would say the better part of the box is obviously going to be the Tyranids. I mean, they say it's 150 quid. If you split that down the middle, that would mean presumably that the Tyranids have got, I won't say 100 quid's worth of models, but it's probably, it is more than what the Space Marines are getting. So yeah, not that I'm complaining, but that's nice. Yeah, okay. I'm probably going to go now. This is my little video about my petty little opinions about whatever it is, 10th edition thingy. Have a good one. Take care.